Well, there's still heroes in the pool that they could pick up for Kataro, but it seems like very few of them are going to feel comfortable. I really doubt that they go for the Luna again like they tried in game one, but at this point, ET, what does that really leave them in the pool that's going to feel okay in these laning situations?
Uh, okay.
Hmm.
Well, he's gonna be able to lane. He's gonna be able to do something, but I this better not be a sniper mid. Again, I have not seen the sniper versus viper matchup in a while, but in age old, that was the counter. You can't shrapnel ever in the game of Dota 2 because you just get corrosive skin down. But also, when it comes to trading, Viper's pretty great at making those trades happen, especially with the attack slow. I don't know. This is a little bit of a shot in the dark for me. If he gets incredibly farmed, if he has a huge DK in front of him, this is something that is not going to lose the lane. And it does keep DogChamp guessing. They do have to make that assumption where, okay, we have to now decide, are we going to put this as our mid laner? Or are we going to need to look for something else? I think Osmium are appropriately saying, this is probably going to be Speed's Viper. Maybe it's not, but we don't really care because we have the sniper lane, worst case scenario. But I don't know. Is this gonna be their answer? If he ever gets clipped by any disable, any stunned by DogChamp, I feel like this guy is just dead.
That's a pretty big problem because you look at what DogChamp have. They've got a Bane, they've got a Hoodwink, they've got a Monkey King, and if that is Speed's Viper as you say, then you're still looking at a Ryoya hero that presumably is going to have some damage and mobility to work as well. So if you can maintain separation on that sniper, great. But that's what we always say about the sniper, and the reason why he doesn't get picked up all that often is because maintaining that separation is not that easy to do.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of other carries that they maybe would have looked for. I think the Dead Ringers are really just the ones that can purge off those poison attacks. Like, I mean, Jug was still in the pool. You would have had Jug, DK, Ench. You pull maybe a Nouns, out of you. If not, I hazard to say you could look at a hero like the Slark. Slark was probably too bad, but it's just I feel like there were options other than this hero. I just hope that in their last pick they get exactly what they want. I think that wind band is super smart from DogChamp. I think that still opens them up even at the end of the day here. Ideally, they pick up a hero for either speed or Ryoya in their last overall. I think that Panga would have been an option where no matter what they pick hero wise or player wise, they could still lane really advantageously no matter what. And I think that's what DogChamp are going to look to do in their final choice here. But at the same time, I think Osmium, they need a playmaker. They need someone who's going to go in. DK, he can be the one to lead the fight, but usually that's where he needs items to follow up. He needs to have a really solid game. At that same time, maybe there's a spirit still in this pool that we could see these teams look at to look for, but I don't know. I still have a lot of concerns here.
Well, gonna have to figure it out pretty quickly here. DogChamp will take their fifth pick first, so at least Osmium will have the benefit of surprise for whatever their final selection is, or whatever good that will do them. But see what DogChamp's plan is right now. Still do have a little bit of flexibility that they're holding on to. Could simply see the Viper at the 3 like we saw last game around, but all be for timer is really getting down there. Okay.
That tiny? Well, that's a much different choice. Now, do Osmium take the bat? I was thinking, I guess, at the last second there, bat seems like quite a nice choice for Osmium, doesn't it? Versus the Monkey King, the Hoodwink, you run them down in the trees, you always have that threat of cutting the tree. Not just that, but versus the Viper lane, you always have a target to just lasso, bring underneath tower. That's your displacement that we've been looking for all day versus that hero. It's also where this Tiny also is a little bit strange, but a I am really curious as to why they pick up the Tiny here. Is that going to be a speed Tiny and then they're going to run the Ryoya Viper again? I almost don't want them to, but at the same time, uh, it is a strange setup that DogChamp have put themselves in here. Tiny was the last hero I had in my mind, but if they send it mid, that's their Blink Initiator. Tiny versus Batrider is not an alien matchup. That's something that's been played for years at this point, but it's always, yeah, I was going to say not the best matchup for the Tiny. It's kind of just a farm fest until who gets Blink, but will Ryoya be able to, again, shut Sebas out? Sebas has got to be mad, right? He gets Viper 2 games in a row. That's kind of funny, but uh, We'll have to see. I do feel as if Sebas is set up a little bit more here. He can actually farm the stacks that Slayton's going to make for him. If he does start to fall behind, he's got other options, and he certainly has gankable lanes. Uh, I just hope he gets a little bit more of a game here. That Quap was just a shutout.
Well, it'll be interesting to see Ryoya on the Viper again. I also realized during the draft I was just getting speed and Ryoya swapped. Kept saying speed was on the Viper. That was incorrect. My brain just didn't quite communicate with the mouth all too well. It will be the Ryoya Viper again, but Tiny in the 3 position is always weird. Interesting, I guess, maybe is a more polite way to phrase that, but there's going to be a lot of potential for this Tiny to maybe be that playmaker, the same way we see a lot of teams try it mid with that early Blink Dagger, but as an offlaner, you don't really necessarily have to be farming quite as hard after that Blink to remain relevant.
Yeah, and it is a guaranteed jump. It is that hero that's going to go on that sniper. I just wonder if the mid pool could have been maybe a little bit better geared at it. And at the same time, DogChamp couldn't afford to go for a hero like the Ember just because picking any melee hero on 23, as we talked about before, is a death sentence usually. You just get countered way too easily. But it's where again, I just hope Sebas can keep his lane just a little bit more standard, a little bit more simple. At the same time, though, Rioya did a great job last game. He could do another great job this time around. It does need to be a little bit more careful, though. You've got tools like the lift, like the DK stun, like the shrapnel. I feel like that's where Osmium's lineup here. It's much more difficult for DogChamp to get in and out of those fights. They were already going to walk into those team fights. Now Osmium just need to keep them around, and then really you could see the team fight swing either way.
We are waiting for Sebas to reconnect here, as he is the one who has the seed. So back in quickly, and yeah, we'll see how he does against the Viper in that middle lane. That's going to kind of be one of, if not maybe the most important sort of things to keep an eye on in those first couple of minutes. Outside of that, though, I want to see just what this sniper can get early on in terms of the farm, in terms of the item progression, whether he just, I guess, kind of goes in early for damage at this point. I'm not really sure if he looks for that, or I don't know, ET, do you try something like an early Dragonlance Hurricane Pike kind of play?
Yeah, it's probably going to be the same buildup. Hurricane Pike is one of my favorite items versus the Bat Rider, where if you can click it on him as he goes for the blink on you, sometimes you just get that frame perfect situation where you force staff him away from you as the moment he blinks in, and then the Bat Rider gets Viper struck, and then he's in too deep, and then he dies. That all that kind of good stuff for you. But probably the same BKB timing up that he had last time around. That's going to be his way to inundate the Blink Dagger timing on the DK on the opposing side. But that's where, yet again, I think speed on this Tiny, instead of being that Timber Saw, you are going to see speed struggle for those plays a little bit more here. It's where he needs to take a step back. First 15 minutes of the game, probably not going to be able to roll that Sniper's Tower nearly as easily as he was before. At the same time, being farm based as opposed to level based, it's not going to be that same activity level. We're going to need to see DogChamp get the lanes going, hopefully have a good laning stage, pause the game, finish their items, then start the game again. That's where Osmium clearly have them beat. Osmium, they get level 6 on the DK, they get the lasso, they get their early tools, and then they kind of just run at you. And with the Enchantress, you know they're going to be running at you. I really think it's where DogChamp need to deal with that aggression, and then we see what happens. If they can't deal with that aggression, Osmium, they're a strange team. They've taken games off Infinity, they've taken games off of Corey. I know they don't want to be 2-0'd by DogChamp.
Oh yeah, I mean, they don't want to be 2-0'd by anybody, to be fair, but a team like DogChamp that I think Osmium feel like they should be equal to or potentially even favored based on sort of past results would be a little bit rough for them. But again, this is Osmium, right? This is not Thunder Predator. This is not Lava Best PC. So this team has a little bit of a maybe different identity. So I don't know. How fair it is to judge them based on the success or failure of previous rosters is always kind of going to be up in the air, right?
Yeah, and hey, Kataro was farmed last game. He did Kataro things. He is that scary player. I just wonder if the sniper's gonna have enough time, which is usually the question you ask yourself with Kataro. And we've already seen him kind of pull off those 1v5s before. Of course, the TB and the Medusa come to mind. Sniper's no TB or Medusa, but it'll certainly work. As that's our third crewman that's been
Bro,
drawn in the chat
Cat
here.
U's got to
Cat U
stop
is
drawing. Can't keep drawing Among Us characters, man. It's not okay,
you think they're a different one each time? He's just bound by, being pink in this game.
right? He's just
Oh
gonna
my god.
draw out. He's playing a full round of Among Us right now, and he's just trying to communicate that to us.
Oh, that one looks so sad. I don't know
Yeah.
why he's like it's like ever so looking at the ground as if something terrible just happened. I don't know. I'm really sad now.
Uh.
That got me.
Oh man, Among Us, it really hits you in the emotions. That's what it's all about. Well, it is if you're maybe just a little bit crazy, but you kind of have to be a little bit crazy to play Among Us in the first place. Normal, sane humans struggle to do much in that game. I'll say that much.
It's based off a great movie though. Love that movie. I've been watching that movie on repeat. Because that shows how much a psycho I am. But yeah, man. 5 minutes of pause time. We really do just be ad libbing. Love the DogChamp voice line though. Just the awoos always welcome. When they're in the server. I don't see too many other teams have their voice line, to be honest. It really is kind of the core there, and then a lot of pub players. But when it comes to just hearing it come out, it's a very satisfying voice line, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I love that one, and I'll take that every single day over the wild card. The shh, we're smoking one that always tricks me. So dogs always fun, right? Hey, right on cue. Thank you, Stonebank. Appreciate that. In the meantime, Sebas is attempting to reconnect at least. It says he's coming back in here, so let's see if we're good to go here. DogChamp obviously are ready, but Osmium will need a little bit of extra time. Sladen says they're having a Discord issue, so the good news at least is that the Batrider is back into the server, so step one is complete.
Yes, that is step one. And hopefully, pause time won't be an aspect in this series or in this game, but always problems arise when we're stuck on US East. It does make you wonder if perhaps we should get some of these essay boys over here, but it's tough. It's always tough, and they're used to it. Usually it's the NA guys that complain whenever they have to play on ping. But here we go. Game gets started. Sebas gets to buy his items, and then like nothing ever happened.
Get smoke, and they're gonna push their way out. Some tips over to Ryoya. Okay, that's not 100% sure why, but there it is. But see whether Osmium try to get aggressive here, or if this is just a vision play. Sebas has the ward, so looks like he is just making a beeline for that middle lane first. His teammates, though, could be in position. I don't think they'll beat DogChamp to this high ground, but they're still pushing their way forward. Adu is gonna pop. He sees the Monkey King, and they're just gonna push their way forward and try to establish control over this rune spot. And DogChamp are a little split up right now, so I'm not sure they really want to take a fight.
They should just split up here. It is a little bit strange to see DogChamp not placing any of those high ground wards they were used to seeing from them. They kind of held on to a lot of that vision for the current time being. But yeah, that's where Sebas already placing the ward here. If we do see any vision getting placed, there we go. Yarn finally gets his ward down. But yeah, Rio is just holding on to it. And they're actually keeping Spade in the mid lane right now, I suppose, because they want to avoid a possible lane swap coming in here. But what are they trying to necessarily preempt? With the Viper going mid, Viper versus Batrider, that much is certain, but I guess perhaps they're trying to dodge out Stonebank versus the Sniper, but it's interesting because Kataro is actually going towards that bottom lane. I wonder what the reaction is actually going to end up being from these teams.
In the meantime, D9 is tracking the DK here as best as he can, so let's try and harass him up a little bit, and yeah, we'll see what the switch up is going to be. It's speed down bot at the moment for DogChamp, and Hoodwink's making her way over. They'll see that it's Kataro in this lane, and we'll see if there's any adjustments, although it might not be as possible because Yaren in an effort to not actually miss out on the start of this lane, did TP onto this. So if they did need to switch things up, Hoodwink would have to walk.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly because, well, now over top, you have what you wanted. You have Monkey King versus DK. Now Draken's really going to start to struggle here, and I think that's also where Speed is not going to nearly feel that pressure. You know, maybe you're going to get peeped a little bit, but I don't feel like Tiny's really going to get shut out of this lane. Fortunately, lost Draken, but we might be losing Draken maybe once Stonebank's level 3 here, but this is the lane they wanted to avoid and the lane that they're gonna have to kind of sit in right now. Don't think they can really afford to make those big adjustments.
Yeah, this is always the thing I think with the sort of lane swapping. You don't ever want to be the squad to try to switch the lanes first, because then your opponents can just choose whether or not they want to use their own TPs to follow after you. Okay. Draken's back in. Sides are ready, and okay. Game back underway, and see what Draken does in this lane, because at the end of the day, he's at least going to be tanky enough to just kind of stay here, I guess, but how well he farms against Stonebank, it will be a question.
Yeah, and really, it just becomes that ugly situation where what do we do? Nice from B9, getting the ranged creep, even though he is going to take a little bit of damage here. But Slade not being level 2 is like 2 creeps away, and then we might see maybe another play on top of them. But it's where unfortunately Stonebank getting the Jingu level 1 can't actually secure any of the range creeps by himself, which is a little bit unfortunate for him.
Well, at least he can try and smack around Sladen a little bit here, but Sladen's going to go in first. They get the telekinesis into the Dragon Tail. B9 has some stick charges. Looks like that should be enough. Stonebank will sort of cover his retreat as well, so that's Bloody Nine surviving, but he uses a Tango, he uses a salve on himself, and Osmium have a little bit of a combo to work here, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage that can trade out. Not to mention, if Draken gets that Breathe Fire on Stonebank once he does have Jingu, then it's like half of a Jingu. It's where the reduction of that damage is kind of brutal. It's kind of a number that I'm surprised has stayed the same, or at least doesn't scale, because it is very nice in B9. Have you... It's a little bit too far forward here. He can sleep one of them, but... Was it the right one is the real question.
And, ooh, didn't get the hit, okay. Stonebank hit level 2, throws out the Boundless, and for the second time in this lane, B9 has narrowly avoided death, so good for him, but the last time around he had to use a lot of his regen, now he doesn't really have it anymore. So it's just going to be the Tangos at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, he is the one that they have to play on, especially if Stonebank is just able to get Jingu, and he always is able to get Jingu. Unfortunately, there will be a tipping point in this lane, probably around now, just because level 2 Jingu is that much more efficient of a spell. It's where also Draken not really able to fix his mana issue right now, is constantly going to be underneath some pressure. Slane's been doing everything he can, though, getting some nice half pulls off, defending his small camp. He's really doing everything he can do as what is effectively a 5 Rubik.
At least getting them something for their trouble. Meanwhile, Katyu is in the jungle right now looking for a creep, and depending on what he finds, maybe they could try to make an early rotation mid. That is dependent on Sebas, though, presumably having multiple stacks up on the Sticky Napalm and actually having a damaging spell. He's holding a couple of points here, so no Firefly and Lane Break as of right now, but got the points for him.
Yeah, and it's a little bit rough. Rio is already pulling ahead. Of course, the Batrider can't really fight for denies all too easily, so he is going to start falling behind in that regard. It's where we'll have to see if Sebas just trades his TP for the first Viper Strike of the game, or if Rioya is able to keep that speed. I just hope that Katyu finds time to farm and stack for his Batrider, because without that, we could see Rioya just really take him down to town yet again, and then don't want to see that. Want to see a much more even lane.
Not crazy amount of aggression coming out from the sides just yet, although as I say that, Yaren, okay, he was able to get in there with the Bushwhack, but Speed doesn't have the mana for the full combo, and he doesn't really have the mana to do much of anything there, as Kataro just keeps on hammering away, and and gets taken down. First blood to Osmium.
Yeah, sniper, good hero. Thompson has been training us for this moment. It honestly is a great hero as well. Even though versus the tiny, getting those last hits is a little bit of a struggle. But as we usually talk about with the tiny, the further up the lane is, you don't have that tower protection, you don't have that free armor coming to help you out. So when it comes to these trades, his speed is really kind of getting pushed back here. So he isn't able to play up in those waves nearly as much as he'd like to. So Kataro's getting a little bit more farm. Kataro does need to be careful though. There is always that threat of the rotation, but that's also where, unfortunately for DogChamp, Ryoya can't really make those moves unless he's really diving that tower or he gets like a haste. Then he can make it, but until then, they're kind of stuck in these very static laning situations.
Ryoya has hit level 6, so he's got the Viper Strike at this point, but not always the most mobile of heroes. I guess he would just have to just flat out TP somewhere, and he leaves the lane for too long, Sebas is going to sort of sound the alarms, presumably. So the other side of things, Sebas has hit level 6 as well, so he has the lasso. And is lasso enough to do anything here mid, or is this just a situation where Sebas would have to wait for a rotation?
Yeah, I think he's just gonna wait. I think he's got that farm in his eyes. He's only 1,000 away from his boots of travel, much more even. He's really been set up. Sladen's also been getting a lot of time to stack, as there has just been a lot of creep waves underneath Draken's tower. So a lot more balance that Osmium have found this time around.
Says Cat, you sneaking around here. Not quite as sneaky as he thinks he is, though. There is a ward that's just going to scout out this movement, but can at least try and get some vision, maybe find maybe a better creep than the Pine Cone here, or excuse me, the War Pine Raider. It's a Pine Cone. Whatever, Valve, whatever you say, but
With a shield.
that is true. It has a leaf in one hand and some sort of spear in the other. So can a normal Pine Cone do that? I don't think so.
Yeah, this is good though. I think Osmium, this is the game they were kind of waiting for, and Ruya is feeling the pressure a little bit, and without any way to really move in and out of this lane, he is kind of just stuck doing what he can. Went for the stick because you can go for just the full magic wand as opposed to a bottle, so he gets to be a little bit more greedy with his items. But Sebas has done a fine job really ignoring him. You're giving a lot of farm over to Ruya, but there is that tipping point where Ryoya wants to chip the tower. He wants to get damage. He wants to force you to come back, and then he wants to get a kill attempt going. But unfortunately, that just simply isn't the case here because the Bat Rider is the direct punish to you. If Ryoya gets a little bit too ahead of himself, then you get lassoed, then you get TP'd on, then you die. If Osmium can do that even just a little bit more, Sebas is even ahead of net worth right now. He's just been able to farm up so many stacks.
Oh, he's got his hands on a haste rune, too, so see what he wants to do with that. If he just sort of stays mid or if he looks to make a rotation somewhere, because he still is holding to a point there. So he could pop the lasso. He's got a haste. He's got his boost of travel. He can really go anywhere he wants at the moment, but looks like that might be the play because Sladen's coming over to try and take over the lane for a little bit, maybe get a level or two, or if Ryoya gets far enough forward, Sladen's telekinesis could be the initiation, but like Ryoya is simply going to back away instead. He sees the centaur coming in, so they know that something is sort of developing here from the Osmium side.
Yeah, and I'm kind of concerned right now for DogChamp. Really, the best lane they have right now was that DK versus Monkey setup, but it's not like we're seeing Draken feed. Draken just has levels. He's fine, and he does need that Blink Dagger pretty soon here, but that's where I'm seeing all these heroes around in the mid lane, the Centaur, all the pressure happening, and during all this time, Kataro's just farming bot. He's just pulling himself ahead further and further ahead. I don't know. This is, I think, too quiet of an early game. I knew they'd have to wait maybe a little bit here, but it is a little much.
It's getting a little bit awkward at this point. The DogChamp haven't been able to find anything as Yarn is going to spot Catyu, and it's just really nothing that can be done here. And this is kind of strange for Yarn. I mean, oh, hold on. This is even more strange. He's going to get hit up. The slow from the enchant is going to give him some issues, and gotta try and dance around the tree, but Catyu's staying on him. Another hit from the impetus is not enough for the kill. Yarn is going to get pushed back, and when he's put on heroes like this Hoodwink, we are not used to seeing him play so sort of passively. But here we are. He's 0-1. He's the only death in the game, hasn't really had much of an impact anywhere, and isn't really finding anything for himself.
Yeah, it's where you almost wish you would have stuck around in Speed's lane possibly a little bit more, if not for the farm, but just more so for the XP. But I think that's also where Ryoya needs that kind of body to watch and keep an eye and keep tabs on the Enchantress. And now that he has a tome, you will see him have that sharpshooter soon. That'll be your play to possibly break open the map here. But that really is what we need to see from both squads. We need to see that move where suddenly the game changes, and maybe that's top. But no, I think the Bushwhack just simply missed. He just didn't get it down. Draken ult, he walks away, Breathe fires, and actually it's Draken in the mid lane with an Invis rune, or is that smoke? No, it's actually bottom. Speed.
The lasso's going to be deployed. The TP gets canceled, so Speed has no backup, and oh, very nicely executed by Osmium. The distraction top after the failed gank leads into an attempt on the bottom lane. They find a kill. Draken, meanwhile, as you said, TP'd mid to try and get some chip onto the tier 1, and that part's not going to be quite as successful, but still find the kill that they wanted on Osmium. They are absolutely, yeah, taking that tier 1 tower down bot, and they could start rolling momentum a little bit, ET, right?
Yeah, it will, as we usually say, you kill the tiny, you take really the engine out of the car here.
Hold
That's an incredible Bushwhack and the TP in. That is, well, you're 180 there. Well, who cares, Speed? I bought him. Now he's almost got his Blink Dagger.
That's just a nasty combo. They throw down the Nether Toxin, they get the Bushwhack, they get the Sharpshooter, they get the Viper Strike, they get the Avalanche, and I don't really care what heroes you pick. 12 minutes in, you're not surviving that, so as you said as well, Speed now almost has the Blink Dagger, and that feels like it could be a difference maker. Speed's lane had been a little bit awkward, but now if he gets that Blink, he can maybe start looking for some further plays, and that could also start getting those supports on the DogChamp side involved as well. So this Blink could solve really multiple issues we've been talking about for DogChamp.
Yeah, and it really stems just from DogChamp having to sit in their lanes for such a long amount of time, but it is where Sharpshooter's online already. He got the tome, but once Bloody Nine has his level 6, then you've got a Fiend's Grip to play around with. A Fiend's Grip that you still have to be very careful about when you actually use it. There is a Rubik in the game. If you are channeling your Fiend's Grip, it's not like you're going to be able to trade your spells out immediately, so Sladen could get that under and away from you, but at the same time, that's where how Osmium deal with this blink on the tiny being finished and how fast we get items like the BKB on our Bat Rider and our Blink Dagger on our DK is going to be the response. If they don't handle that timing lightly, then you could see them really start to fall behind. That's where, fortunately for Osmium, though, Draken has not gotten greedy. He doesn't have the wand. He doesn't have treads. He's going to have his own Blink Dagger pretty much to match up with the opponent tiny, but that's where we would also need to see probably a smoke on smoke happen. Is Bloody Nine? Well,
It's an issue. Slowed up, taken down here. I think Tara was thinking about stealing that. Saw the assassinate sort of make the initial cocking noise, but Hero's dead before he can actually steal it. But now they're going to try and make a move onto Katara. They're going to miss with the Bushwhack, though, and Speed's or not his BKB, his Blink Dagger is, I mean, it's completed. Where's his courier? There it is. It's hanging out over in the middle lane. So that's very strange. They could have just waited maybe a little while longer for that blink to get delivered, and then it's a much easier play to sort of get themselves into.
yeah, and then the mid tower goes down. Cat, you might be getting traced here. Gets hit. Oh, what a shot.
Toss in to finish the job, and Speed can now finally have that blink safely delivered to him. That was the reason it was sort of hanging out around that tier 2 mid, was because they saw Catyu kind of prowling around. So you don't get the Kataro play, but you're still able to find a kill, and now Speed's blink is delivered. Only problem is Stonebank getting kind of tracked here in the top lane, and they're going to get right on top of him. The Wukongs started the channel, but didn't finish it, and he's just straight dead.
Yeah, and that's why usually you would see when this Monkey King was picked up in previous patches, banning out the Bat Rider pretty much every single time. You'd see emphasis on both the Bat Rider and the Night Stalker in that meta. Now you've got a very obnoxious Rubik in this game with a max level tree dance, and you still have Lasso. You didn't use anything to kill Stonebank there. That was just the reveal of the Blink Dagger on the DK. This is where your game plan maybe gets a little bit more difficult if you're DogChamp, and we still need to see that smoke. Unfortunately, probably got scouted out by that ward.
That's very unfortunate, DogChamp, but they don't know that they've been spotted, so they're going to try and get this one anyway. And, well, where can they go? If they push straight north, Kataro's under a tier 2 tower, so you could still try it. Blink in, have a toss, maybe get the toss back play, and see where that gets you. But that's assuming that they actually see Katara right now, and well, realistically speaking, they don't. So their way back towards mid instead. Draken's here, but that is a much harder kill. Ryoya's going to get to start it, though, trying to sort of bait him in with the Viper Strike, and it's a nice bit of damage, but speed, yeah, has to get in there. They're able to find that kill. So, Smoke on a ward, still find a pickoff, all's well. Osmium aren't really in a great position to immediately catch.
Yeah, now the question is, how would we defend our mid tower here? That's our initiator. Without BKB on Batrider, honestly don't think that they should be able to, even though Sladen is pretty obnoxious. Again, having this tree dance, having just the ability to stay in that tree line and then not really be too scared, it'd have to be a great jump from, I want to say speed, to actually take him out, but that's where Sladen gets a little bit more farm than he otherwise would, just having another nuke. I always love to see that with the Rubik.
If you lose Tree Dance's Rubik when you're on a tree, do you just drop down?
No, you're stuck.
Guess we won't get to see it either way. As B9 gets off the Nightmare, gets off the Fiend's Grip. Sladen, though, stole that Fiend's Grip. He'll turn it right back around onto Bloody 9, and well, the Bane goes down. Sladen will fall, but now they've got Speed stunned up here. They've got him trapped inside of that AoE damage from Sebas, but well, they don't actually finish him off. Now Stonebank's going to channel out the Wukong's command. Kataro's the one to fall. Speed finally gets traded, but this is not a great trade. Osmium are going to lose another core as Draken gets taken out, and what a strange series of events. The Bane goes in, hits up 2, loses his ult to the Rubik, but DogChamp still have the manpower to pull it out.
You know, very peculiar fight. Still had that high ground vision, though. Osmium were never really able to make their way up there as, Snowbank with the Jingu still was able to track out Sebas here. Oh, he dodged.
Really?
No way does he get out here now. Okay.
Interesting dodge on the sharpshooter there, but yeah, Sebas will still fall. Yarn gets the kill, and but that was much closer than I think Stonebank was sort of thinking it was going to be when he went in, but they will find themselves the kill, and Champ are starting to pull away a little bit. B9 has eyes on Cat-U, and that's a nice Nightmare, but who else is coming? No one, really. Speed is just going to back away.
Yeah, and okay. We chill out. We wait now. This is a smoke without grip. This is really just damage from the brain sap and speed. Looking for Kataru here. They have a really nice deep ward, but gotta get him in the river. There you go. Done.
Nice. Now they have to get out safely, because Osmium's kind of grouped up around them, but the Viper's coming over as well, and he just had a BKB delivered to him, so they're going to look for the fight. Jump onto Draken, breaking him there with another Toxin, but he's able to fall back. Cat-U, though, is right in the middle of this engagement, and they're just going to shift their focus. Cat-U taken down. Centaur Stomp is nice onto 2, but too late to matter.
Yep. Nice kill. Again, by that same ward, a ward that they unfortunately missed on the Osmium side. Just a little bit too deep and a little bit of an awkward spot to actually see it, but that's where B9, you know he's there. He's got the great vision. You look across their map, DogChamp see absolutely everything. Bottom lane is really the only one where it's a little bit scary still, but that's where Sebas is getting his BKB, so really don't think they're all too pressed right now. I think this is where Osmium still need to kind of find their place in this game here as B9. You just grip him, or might not even have to. So dead.
Bushwhack will do it. Yaren's going to get the kill with the sharpshooter, and finding these picks. Nicely done, but are these support kills going to be enough sort of long-term? They've got a 2k lead right now, ET, but as you said, Sebas is still sort of farming his items, and now they're going to actually turn around, so yeah. They will lose Yaren. At the same time, though, there is a play here into the jungle. It's onto Cat-U again, though, and kind of brings me back to my question. If you're DogChamp, should you be putting a more concerted effort into getting these cores instead?
Well, finding the sniper is, of course, really your first choice, but if they find Kataro here, they know where he is. This is where, unfortunately, for Osmium, they've showed so much bottom, and so did the DogChamp heroes, that maybe Kataro feels safe, but unfortunately, needs to connect with Ryoya. He can't do it by himself. Katara would be a kill right now, but don't know if it's going to happen, especially with Katyu getting in between. This is getting a little bit too intense. They might just take Katyu, though.
Well, he is almost certainly dead again. Yeah, DOT will do him in as Ryoya gets the kill, and Katyu, well, he's 2 and 4 now, but his deaths are distracting, buying time for the cores, I suppose. So, I mean, you would love it if they could buy that time without the Enchantress having to give herself up, but at least her dying is probably the least valuable, although Sladen, he's going to get in some trouble here as well. Sharpshooter won't hit, but B9 can close it out with the Brain Sap.
Yeah, just a very simple, very easy play. And I think this is where DogChamp, they can take all the outer towers. They can probably take the first Roche. They can really kind of snowball themselves in this situation. But that's where, when it comes to high ground, they need to be incredibly careful. This tier 2, it's probably going to get cleaned up for free. There's still a glyph if Osmium really want to go for it. In fact, actually, it's DogChamp who say we want the farm instead of actually taking the tower, which is an interesting call. This cat, is he just going to get Vipered again? Oh, it hurts, but he should be fine.
Okay. A little bit of mercy for Katyu this time as he's able to walk away, but Bat Rider did finish off the BKB in the meantime, so Sebas might be looking for his play here. Of course, you don't have a force or a blink, anything along those lines to really get yourself in there, but you're going to give this a go. Katyu's got the smoke, and actually there's a haste rune in the river. If Sebas could get that, then I really think you have to care quite as much about the lack of sort of jump in as Yaren getting himself stunned up, pulled back. Assassinate is flying through, and it's not enough to get the kill itself, but Draken can clean it up quickly afterwards.
Now look at top. This is the revenge play. They need to start looking for their exits here. Ryoya could just start farming bottom right now. I think really trying this fight before the monkey BKB is a little bit crazy, but they found Sebas. Grip.
Beans grips there. BKB won't matter. Sebas is dead. And now, oh, Speed actually got the toss back. They caught the Rubik. They'll throw him in. They'll drop the Nether Toxin underneath him as Ryoya picks up the double. And, oh, Sebas. I like the idea of what he was doing there. He just is a little bit too early. His teammates weren't in a position to back him up. And is Katyu going to get punished here? Yeah, of course he is. It's the way this game has gone. If there's any sort of engagement, Katyu's probably dying.
Yep, just not a whole lot of living he can do. It's where unfortunately, the Viper is just too powerful. He's just too big at this point. And honestly, Speed carried that fight. He found the in-between. They weren't able to get and really close the gap there. So many different ways for Osmium to break up that grip, but just lasts a little bit too long. That's your strongest hero in the game, getting knocked off at the beginning of the fight, and then you kind of just get cleaned up. It's where maybe once Draken finds a BKB of his own, we could see them really turn things around here. But I feel like now it might even just be the Blink Dagger on the Bat Rider. We're just not really getting this fight started that we can really kind of carry. Ryoya, no BKB for 13.
They've got the lasso. Can B9 save him with the Nightmare? It's going to help. It allows him to get a Viper Strike off onto Kataro, and that could be relevant if other heroes are making their way over. Yaren is coming over. Speed was trying to get into position, but he actually ran into Sladen first, so had to deal with that kill, but Stonebank is in. There's going to be the Boundless Strike. Not enough for the kill by itself, but it gets him the vision, and Kataro will fall. Draken now really just kind of stuck in this tree line. Speed's going to hit him up with the Avalanche. They'll lock him down, and now Sebas is really by himself here. He got a kill onto Yaren, but I'm not sure if that's really going to be enough at this point. He has to actually pop his own BKB, but he is still running because he doesn't have mana to TP out. Tree toss, not connecting. Sebas is on the run, but there's the Boundless.
Ooh, that's just too good, and really, it's too fast. Osmium, the way that they showed themselves there, it made it very obvious that they had all TP'd towards that tier 1, so they know that there's, well, no TP out from any of those heroes. So DogChamp, who were kind of lagging behind, especially on both the Monkey King and the Tiny, still commit to the fight because it's not a wasted fight. Even though they lose Ryoya, they can clean up because where are you going? You can't TP away from us. We know you're locked on this bottom side. It's the easiest rotation to make in the world, and I think that's where Osmium, they are trying to push their advantage. They're trying to find these plays whenever their opponents shouldn't have anything. And the only reason they get Ryoya is because his BKB is still on CD and they go fast, but then they also die because they go fast. It's really just kind of a horrible situation to be in if you're them. I think it's where maybe we find Stonebank with our next lasso or hope for the best. Osmium just need to find any sort of initiation right now. It's constantly just a little bit too slow.
Time. I don't know, for Kataro in particular, what balance should he be striking here between sort of farming and fighting at this stage? Because his team feels like they still need his damage, but if he's fighting, he's going to be falling further behind.
That's also where, unfortunately, well, on the sniper, don't really have your big power spikes. There's no BKB, there's no Scotty. You're not getting a crit stick anytime soon. In the meantime, your opponents are taking the Roshan, and there's not really all much you can do about it if you're Osmium. At the same time, maybe you find a kill on Bloody 9 bottom, but even that seems unlikely. Just feels like DogChamp have got the ball rolling, and there's no real reason for them to stop. Stonebank has an Aegis now. He's queuing up a Scotty. If he gets that Scotty, nobody on Osmium can really take that fight. Everybody is just so vulnerable to it this game. Not to mention, Stonebank is level 20 and a half right now. If Stonebank is ever looking at being level 25, sub 30 minutes in this game, I don't know how you defend your racks.
Stonebank's working towards a Scotty, has the Aegis. I just noticed Ryoya is actually going for a Scotty as well, so they're doubling up on that front as... Oh, Kataro. He is the one to get caught there in his own jungle. Yarn gets the sharpshooter hit, and... Well, I don't know, ET. What do you think here? If you're already going to struggle against the Scotty on the Monkey King, Ryoya's is seemingly going to make it even more impossible to maneuver.
Yeah, and it's, maybe a little bit sad. I would love to see Ruoya actually buy his own Ag Shard right now. That'd probably be the best item he could get, but, well, goodbye, Katu. Going for the split push. You're just not really seeing Osmium, unfortunately, play Dota right now. They're kind of just stuck on their side of the base, really going for split push and getting a few creeps here and there, but the further they weave and go out, the less front line they have just put in front of their snipers, so Kataro's not getting farm. If Kataro's not getting farm, then I don't know, how do you get your sniper to scale? You need a one-team fight to get the rest of your team kind of over the hump. Once this Aegis is gone, maybe they look for just some all-in play onto Stonebank. That's really their kind of net worth bomb right now. If they can kill him, everything is theirs, but with the second DD rune, I feel like Stonebank is about to do something crazy in the Osmium base.
Well, let's see if he chooses to pull the trigger or not. Standing on the tree so far, but at this point, if you're Osmium, other than sitting here and waiting, I mean, what play can they actually make right now?
It's just the last to drag back. I think that's it. I think that's all they can do. And that is the one thing that they still have in their draft here as Sebes. You'd hate to lose him, but he's getting tracked down right now. Gonna dodge out 49 though, and I feel like Sebes just needs to know that something's happening here. And okay, he should be fine. But the one thing Osmium still have going for them is that high ground, is that, well, really DogChamp don't have the best way of getting onto the racks. And they're really trying this?
They got Katyu first. They're going to try and hit up Draken here with the damage. Stonebank, though, is really getting hit. He stood in that fireball the whole time, and...
Oh, the top?
Oh, Sladen. That's a big move. It's coming back up in sort of the middle, but they weren't able to get in onto there, but Draken blinks forward. They've got speed locked down, but Steph's going to push him away, and... All things considered, ET, they didn't have to use Lasso for that. They got the Aegis, and... Well, I suppose that's not bad, although... It doesn't really change their position defensively here, does it?
Yeah, they're still stuck on their high ground. They're still stuck on their high ground with one hero trying to split push out bottom. That's also where Osmium needs to do their due diligence and deward some of these cliffs. And this is also where DogChamp need to check themselves a little bit. They need to say, okay, that was not good. That's our big window to just kind of keep this game going. Speed doesn't have a BKB. He could be a target. That was an overextension, but unfortunately Draken just wasn't ready, and now need to not get caught here. The monkey's coming.
Fiend Script's down. Draken's not going to get away. Sladen, though, steals it, so he has the Fiend Script available. And he's going to deploy it. Stonebank gets locked down. They're going to try and force staff him, but that doesn't actually stop the Fiend Script. Now they got the lasso. They're going to pull the Monkey King in. Defensive Nightmare will buy a little bit of time, but it's not going to be enough. Stonebank's dead, and DogChamp are starting to lose a little bit of focus here, perhaps, and... I think now at this point, Speed, he's tried that twice onto Katyu, and just doesn't have enough damage to get that kill instantly. At that point, I think maybe you stop trying to get it unless you have backup.
Yeah, and at the same time, going for the reinitiation onto the DK, unless the Monkey King is just straight up hitting him, you do find that DogChamp have a little bit of slow damage if it's not either a Boundless Strike or an Avatos combo as Kataro. Ay, ay, ay.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know.
Avalanche toss back, knocked up onto the high ground, tried to TP, but not going to work. And now Katyu sort of gave his position away. Yarn is pushing his way forward. He's holding the bushwhack for as long as he can, and now he'll deploy it. They've locked down Sladen. Sharpshooter comes in to finish the job, and there really isn't a return play. There's, oh my god, speed. Gets in. There's the Avalanche into the toss. B9's ready with that Nightmare, and they're going to turn onto the Bat Rider. His BKB had 3 seconds on its cooldown when he died. Now they are into the base for... well, actually, no real reason, because they haven't taken the tier 2 yet, so I want to pull it back a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit kooky. They're still really farmed, and really, it comes back to Osmium just not able to get rid of all of this vision of the bottom lane. Qatar just thought he was safe. He thought that he could go there, and unfortunately, that's also where the vision continues to get that play onto the Bat Rider, who didn't have his BKB from their prior engagement. So, what can you do? I think still, the game is very rough, even with the Monkey King removed. It just goes to show whenever Osmium are outside of the base, they are still incredibly weak. They are still very much unable to make those fights happen. It's where I think they still need a few items. Maybe if they can hold their high ground a little bit longer, we could see them really make the turnaround. But that's also where, if DogChamp very consciously choose, well, if they're not breaking out of bottom, we have all of this vision locked down here. They're not mid, they're not top. Let's just take the entire map. We won't push until Aegis, but we're going to get another 15k net worth lead. Then we'll decide to fight you on even ground. And that's a situation where I don't know if Osmium will simply have enough.
I want to ask you about this, ET. This is a bit of an interesting one. Speed with the Ethereal Blade pick. So, mentioned before, he tried to kill Katyu and didn't quite have enough damage. Technically, that fixes that issue, but what do you think about that purchase?
Well, it's not a BKB, it's not a Lotus Orb, but that is your way to kill anybody without a BKB. It doesn't even need to be there to kill Katyu, and that's kind of sad. But I really think it is just one of the few ways to save versus the sniper, but also just one of the stone bank.
Yeah, so, he had a BKB and a Lincolns. He thought he was safe. They pop the Lincolns. They get the lasso down anyway, and not really sure what he was doing there. That's a little too aggressive by yourself. Speaking of which, Ryoya, gonna get himself caught out here as well. That is a stolen Wukong's command, so Ryoya's trapped in the ring, and they will take him down as well. Kataro will not die to the DOT, and ET, DogChamp are kind of doing it again. They were able to bounce back the last time, but really can't afford to lose heroes like this.
They've got to be a little bit more careful here, because they can start to give Kataro a little bit too much. He got the kill on Stonebank top. He can start to really move into this higher net worth position, and it's still very obnoxious for them to fight. It's still very difficult for them to find a lot of these engagements, but DogChamp are certainly going to be running at your buildings here, and you cannot afford to really give them everything and then some. B9 is going to go down as well for free. They're going to be able to nuke in and push these waves, but you wonder if now there's a little bit of an opening here, because after this kill into the Bane, well, Osmium are going to take the map a little bit. Now it's Osmium's turn to not make that mistake, overextend, get in those areas of the map where they have no business being. But if they don't make that mistake, we should see at least 2-3k net worth start falling into their laps here by just being alive and on the map farming.
Oh, grouped up mid. Kataro has... There we go. Okay, he does have the Hurricane Pike. It's the last bit coming out to him, or is this the BKB? His courier is delivering an item to him, and it is going to be the BKB first. Okay, so got a little messed up in terms of the progression there, but feels like the BKB is probably going to help him out a little bit more in this instance.
Yeah, it's just your emergency. It's a little bit weird because he had the Force Staff component, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we changed our minds, but still, it's going to be very good. They're getting these tier 3 neutral items. Elven Tunic is quite nice. He gets a Paladin Sword, so he can actually just sit there and right-click a lot during these actual engagements. And DogChamp have had enough. They want a kill into a building. They just want a simple pick off, not cat you. They're done getting cat you. They want to kill a real hero, a Bat Rider, a DK, even a sniper if they would take some crazy jump. They want to kill him, get out, go for the next objective. Because DogChamp are starting to stall with how much pressure they've been doing. They haven't been farming their side of the map. They really have only been taking away Dire, and that's fine for the time being. But you're also pushing in these waves constantly to Osmium, who are very safely getting this farm. It's where you do have to be a little bit concerned here. And sure, they take everything. They're going to be able to break out in really every single way. And yet again, Osmium don't really get to deward any of this vision towards bottom. But Osmium feel confident enough with this BKB on Sniper to actually smoke out, which is a little bit crazy, and it honestly might catch DogChamp off guard because you look at the map, they're playing everywhere. They might need to regroup here. Realia also TP's top. They could get caught in really what could be a 5-on-4 situation here. Unfortunately, they lost their Kataro somewhere along the way.
Yeah, where'd he go? Oh, he's back in base. Oh god, he's doing inventory. That's awkward. So he'll be coming along, but he's not here now. But if Osmium do swing this, we're 20 seconds out from Roshan, so the stars are kind of aligning for the winner of this next fight to just take a quick trip into the pit. DogChamp now the squad smoked up as Osmium's sort of timer ran out, and there really doesn't seem to be a great opportunity on either side. The second Osmium don't hit what they want with that smoke, they just fell back.
Yeah, and need to be very careful. Still need to get this re-D word going. Really smart from Cat sending his courier up here. They still have the sentry. That was a ward placed in the smoke, so they didn't want to D-ward it because they would have broke their own smoke. But now, DogChamp have an objective to play for. They get to go towards that second Roche. It will be able to kind of move things in their direction yet again, but I really do think if they're going to make this chokehold really feel like it is as bad as it is, someone's got to go back and farm the Radiant camp. Someone's got to take the rest of the map here. Otherwise, I think Osmium, they're starting to find their ways out. They're starting to get a few big items here, and it really only takes a few fights for them to actually kind of be back in the driver's seat. Is this going to be Aegis? Probably. Honestly, I'd give it to Riolia just because he has the Ag Shard. He's able to actually get that building damage done, but I can see why Stonebank would take it yet again here, but I don't know. I'm getting a little bit antsy. I'm getting a little bit anxious here because Osmium, again, it takes one team fight. It takes 5 more minutes, and then suddenly we're in a very different game.
With the Aegis up on Monkey King at this point, ET, do you think that DogChamp just try to brute force the high ground here? Because Osmium still aren't going to budge. They're not really coming out of their base.
Well, they just gave the tome over to Stonebank. He's 25 now. He has the extra large ring. I feel like that might be their moment. That might be their timing here. Ideally, of course, they still want a pickoff into doing whatever they want, but at the same time, can they really afford to spend as much time as they are? Yaren, Draken? Little slow.
Not going to get it. They're not going to get it. Now they need to really just get out of here. Draken will TP away. Kataro is...
He's got a BKB TP.
Do it. They scan him out so they know he hasn't left yet. This is getting very awkward. He could just go for it now. He's trying to get sneaky with it, and... Okay. He's able to hold on to a valuable BKB charge and won't be punished for that. However, Katyu will die, and there's that E-Blade coming into play. Didn't have enough damage to finish it before, but Speed will get the kill this time.
And, you know, Speed is finally going to get a BKB of his own. I think that really has been the problem for DogChamp. Speed has not felt comfortable enough to actually blink in and stay in these fights without dying to either the Bat Rider or the DK. So in doing so, he's kind of spent a lot of net worth on items that haven't really allowed him to be that great initiator for his team. Maybe you could say a little bit more selfish itemization coming from him, but honestly, when all of your cores are as farmed as they are, you can kind of see why you would try to be a little bit more selfish of a hero, but that's where tier 2 claimed bottom. Stonebank still farming up, just finished his Scotty, still has the Lincolns to put out on anyone who is threatening to get lassoed here, but if Kataro gets a Scotty in this game, this could go either way, to be honest. Anything could happen, and DogChamp are still the ones that need to end the game. They need to actually get on top of the tier 3, and they need to actually find kills into that objective. I don't think they can leapfrog over either. Stonebank needs to really find that initiation and then into the objective. I don't think they can make those plays happen if Osmium are alive here. Their wave clear, their sniper, all of those aspects are a little bit too good. It's why I think DogChamp have really stopped their aggression. Even though Speed has the BKB now, the Tiny could go in. He could tank everything for those 9 seconds. You just need to see him do it.
Do you think that they, at this point, are waiting a little bit too long? They just has 2 minutes left on it, so there's still a window, but as you said, they're the ones who sort of need to end the game. Should they just be pulling the trigger on something now?
I feel like they can. I feel like they can go for some crazy jump. I think they should go for some crazy jump. This is also pretty safe, though. Get the 8 stacks on the tower. Probably get the glyph pretty soon here. Just don't get scouted out if you're Speed, but it's where it's bound to happen here. But the lasso, Rioya.
Pull the Viper in. BKB was not activated. Not really sure it would have helped as Ryoya goes down, and what more can Osmium find? They're going to try to push out cautiously, but they're very much wary of overextending here, so they're not going to go any further than that. But that's a big kill. That was kind of the siege engine on the DogChamp side that gets taken away.
Yeah, now they're done. Their mode pickoff here. It's just up to Osmium to not necessarily feed, even though I think the supports.
Well,
And actually, Kataro.
he gets tossed back. They get the Fiend's Grip onto him as well. Kataro's dead, and he doesn't have buyback. Kataro has no way back into this game. It's a triple kill for Stonebank. It's about to be an ultra. No, it's not. B9 steals it, but they are still directly into their opponent's base. Osmium are going to have to scramble here as the toss comes through. They're going to lock down Draken. Even in his dragon form, there's just nothing he can do, and well, we said they were wary of overextending. Apparently not wary enough, ET. They're going to buy back now, and maybe that pushes DogChamp back, but no, it doesn't. Speed gets in. There's the Ava into the toss, into the Boundless Strike. Sebas is dead, dies back. Draken pops his BKB just to run away. And Osmium may have just been baited to hell and back, because their defense is kind of crumbling.
Yeah, I feel like it's easily 2 racks, probably them swinging for megas. I mean, that was kind of crazy. They just go for the D ward. Both supports get taken out. The grip lanes onto Katara. They traversed off of the high ground as Draken. Is this going to be your last dieback here? He's able to walk away, but Age is going to get reclaimed in 5 seconds. Actually, he's got to die.
Stonebank, yeah,
Wait a second. Somebody kill him. Oh,
the toss. Speed's just like, dude, like, won't die. Able to keep his teammate alive. They're going to go back in onto the rack. Stonebank's healed up. Speed's going to blink in. There's going to be the avalanche into the toss to kill Sladen. And Katyu won't die, but he's just going to have to fall back to the fountain. Kataro, though, did respawn, but at this point, ET, I don't think there's enough of a miracle left in Kataro to pull this one off.
No. Oh, the toss.
KB popped, so he's not dead yet, but the tier 4s are falling around him, and there just doesn't seem to be much of a play. Boundless into Wukong's command is going to catch Katyu, and they will finish him off. That exposes the Ancient, and yeah, there's nothing left at this point. It's going to be DogChamp taking this one 2-0.
Yeah, super easy. I mean, they should have won this game like 20 minutes ago, but that's where Osmium's high ground was just a little bit too annoying, a little bit too pesky, and DogChamp were not patient enough. But still win. Still felt like it was never not going to be their win. Osmium maybe had a few choices, a few chances here and there. Much better early game than they had before, but Rioya Viper, maybe DogChamp have found their niche here to get a few more points. We'll have to see what happens when they go up versus another team, but this felt like they knew what they were doing. Felt like they really had a handle on things here. I think it goes back all the way to that first pick in Bloody 9. These teams that are able to get that Bane just feels like they can make those plays so easily across the map. Feel like they're very comfortable, actually have something to play for. I feel like this would have been a 30-minute GG if maybe that first high ground push went a little bit more successfully, but that's where even Team Osmium, they're kind of their own worst enemy here. It's kind of sad to see them lose in such a fashion, but hey, saves us 15 minutes. If maybe that doesn't happen, the game just continues on.
DogChamp with the 2-0 victory. Some much needed points for them, and Osmium, at the end of the day, you try to carry Sniper, right? So you were sort of coming into things with a little bit of a risk with a hero that we don't see that often, so maybe that's going to help this team put that loss out of their mind a little.
Yeah, and well, Kataro, Usually he's on the illusion hero. Usually he's on the guy farming with the mantas. It certainly did not seem too much more farmed when he's just kind of on his own hero. Has to play for himself, but that was also just a lot of pressure put onto him. Really good smokes from DogChamp. It was not your seamless, protected sniper. Everybody else, both Draken and Sebas, were really struggling for farm on their own end, so don't really blame him all too much for that one.
Right. Well, unfortunate for Osmium, but a very well fought series for DogChamp as we get the 2-0, and now we are going to be moving things along to that third series, another matchup between NA and SA squads, as we will have Mystery Machine versus Infinity coming up next.